Hey guys, hope you guys are doing well. I'm not going to be able to make it in today. I got you guys a sub, so be respectful and enjoy today's lesson.
Hello, my name is T-Rex. You can call me Mr. Rex. I expect good behavior today. I don't believe in 1245. If you misbehave, I will eat you alive. Rawr! All right, let's see what we're learning about today. All right, so today we're going to talk about the Renaissance. Do you know what Renaissance means? It means rebirth. So after the Black Death and the Middle Ages, you get the Renaissance. Okay? It's back. The Silk Road. Do you remember what the Silk Road was? What was the Silk Road? Exactly. An important trading route between China or Asia, however you want to say it, and Europe. So the Renaissance primarily starts or happens in Italy. And we've got some of our Ninja Turtle friends, Michelangelo and Leonardo. That's fantastic. And then we're going to meet a new guy. You should have read some of his work the other day. His name is Machiavelli. Then we'll get into the printing press and beyond the Renaissance. So let's get going. Why does the Silk Road open and close? Do you remember? You're going to learn again if you don't remember. That's okay. How does the plague actually benefit Europe? You should know this one. How does it benefit Europe? Well, if you survive, then there's more stuff, or there's more land, or there's more jobs. So if you survive the Black Plague, you're actually better off. And then, like I just said, Renaissance means rebirth. Do you remember the Han Dynasty? Exactly. After the fall of the Han Dynasty, the Silk Road closes. Here's a quick video about the Silk Road if you don't remember.
A banker in London sends the latest stock info to his colleagues in Hong Kong in less than a second. With a single click, a customer in New York orders electronics made in Beijing, transported across the ocean within days by cargo plane or container ship. The speed and volume at which goods and information move across the world today is unprecedented in history. But global exchange itself is older than we think, reaching back over 2,000 years along a 5,000-mile stretch known as the Silk Road. The Silk Road wasn't actually a single road, but a network of multiple routes that gradually emerged over centuries, connecting to various settlements and to each other, thread by thread. The first agricultural civilizations were isolated places in fertile river valleys, their travel impeded by surrounding geography and fear of the unknown. But as they grew, they found that the arid deserts and steppes on their borders were inhabited not by the demons of folklore, but nomadic tribes on horseback. The Scythians, who ranged from Hungary to Mongolia, had come in contact with the civilizations of Greece, Egypt, India, and China. These encounters were often less than peaceful. But even through raids and warfare, as well as trade and protection of traveling merchants in exchange for tariffs, the nomads began to spread goods, ideas, and technologies between cultures with no direct contact. One of the most important strands of this growing web was the Persian Royal Road, completed by Darius I in the 5th century BCE. Stretching nearly 2,000 miles from the Tigris River to the Aegean Sea, its regular relay points allowed goods and messages to travel in nearly 1/10 the time it would take a single traveler. With Alexander the Great's conquest of Persia and expansion into Central Asia through capturing cities like Samarkand and establishing new ones like Alexandria as Shah, the network of Greek, Egyptian, Persian, and Indian culture and trade extended farther east than ever before, laying the foundations for a bridge between China and the West. This was realized in the 2nd century BCE when an ambassador named Shang Qian, sent to negotiate with nomads in the West, returned to the Han Emperor with tales of sophisticated civilizations, prosperous trade, and exotic goods beyond the western borders. Ambassadors and merchants were sent towards Persia and India to trade silk and jade for horses and cotton, along with armies to secure their passage. Eastern and western routes gradually linked together into an integrated system spanning Eurasia, enabling cultural and commercial exchange farther than ever before. Chinese goods made their way to Rome, causing an outflow of gold that led to a ban on silk, while Roman glassware was highly prized in China. Military expeditions in Central Asia also saw encounters between Chinese and Roman soldiers, possibly even transmitting crossbow technology to the Western world. Demand for exotic and foreign goods and the profits they brought kept the strands of the Silk Road intact, even as the Roman Empire disintegrated and Chinese dynasties rose and fell. Even Mongolian hordes, known for pillage and plunder, actively protected the trade routes rather than disrupting them. But along with commodities, these routes also enabled the movement of traditions, innovations, ideologies, and languages. Originating in India, Buddhism migrated to China and Japan to become the dominant religion there. Islam spread from the Arabian Peninsula into South Asia, blending with native beliefs and leading to new faiths like Sikhism. And gunpowder made its way from China to the Middle East, forging the futures of the Ottoman, Safavid, and Mughal empires. In a way, the Silk Road's success led to its own demise as new maritime technologies like the magnetic compass found their way to Europe, making long land routes obsolete. Meanwhile, the collapse of Mongol rule was followed by China's withdrawal from international trade. But even though the old routes and networks did not last, they had changed the world forever, and there was no going back. Europeans seeking new maritime routes to the riches they knew awaited in East Asia led to the age of exploration and expansion into Africa and the Americas. Today, global interconnectedness shapes our lives like never before. Canadian shoppers buy T-shirts made in Bangladesh. Japanese audiences watch British television shows, and Tunisians use American software to launch a revolution. The impact of globalization on culture and economy is indisputable, but whatever its benefits and drawbacks, it is far from a new phenomenon. And though the mountains, deserts, and oceans that once separated us are now circumvented through supersonic vehicles, cross-continental communication cables, and signals beamed through space rather than caravans traveling for months, none of it would have been possible without the pioneering cultures whose efforts created the Silk Road, history's first World Wide Web.
All right, I'm back. So you've got the Chinese trading with the Romans. Why does it end? The fall of Rome. You need people to protect the road. Nobody's going to take out their valuable goods on this road if they think their goods are going to be stolen. So you need an authoritarian government or some type of bureaucratic infrastructure to protect the road. When the Mongols take over, what do? Exactly. Trade increases. How come? Because they protect the road. Very good. Marco Polo is going to bring back to Europe the descriptions of these awesome Asian products and inventions. People in Europe are going to want stuff from China. Do you know where Italy is on this map? Exactly. Right there. Perfect. What is that body of water next to it or below it? It kind of looks like a seahorse. Exactly. That's the Mediterranean Sea. Good job. Last time we learned about Rome. This time, the big city is Florence. They're going to get rich, mainly because they can trade. They are kind of the middleman between Europe and Asia. Merchants are making money. Bankers are making money. And the Medici family, is the richest banking family. And they're going to rule in Florence. Don't worry too much about them. Just know there's something called the Medici Family. I pronounced it better a second ago. Florence becomes the center for Italian art and culture and a renaissance, a rebirth. Okay. They're going to have a new emphasis on human abilities, poetry, history, art. You got to put this in the backdrop of you're just coming out of the Black Death. So you want to expand and have awesomeness and kind of, I don't want to say fervorless, but you want to expand humanity. Now here's the prince that you read about. Let's talk about Machiavelli because he is important. Machiavelli wants to get a job with the Medici family, Medici family, and he writes this book. It's basically like his resume, and the book is called, what's the book called? Rawr! You just read it. The Prince. That's right, The Prince. Machiavelli says,
Don't be good. Just look like you're being good. Just tell the people what they want to hear. So, for example, how does this translate into modern day politics? Well, if you want more services, you have to pay for those services, and you have to raise taxes. But people don't want more taxes. They want lower taxes, but they want more services. Machiavelli says, lie to them. Just tell them you can have more services and you can have lower taxes. And the people will love you. If you have something bad that you have to do, get someone else to do it for you. Have someone do your dirty work. Please note that Mr. Evans is not telling you this is how you should behave. Mr. Evans is just telling you that this is a historical book on which modern day politics are based. I shouldn't say everybody in modern day politics, but this is one of the first political books. And what does Machiavelli advise? He basically says, say one thing, but then do whatever you want. You don't have to be good, just pretend to be good. Just tell people what they want to hear. Okay, again, this is not advice on how you should live your life. This is just what Machiavelli says. Sometimes you will hear in the modern political discourse, that's very Machiavellian. Well, that's who they're talking about. Here's a quick video.
Niccolo Machiavelli is known as the father of modern politics, and is also known for his work in political science and philosophy, as well as being an accomplished writer. Machiavelli was born in Florence, Italy, and as he grew up he began to work in areas of local government. In 1494 the ruling Medici family were expelled from Florence, and Machiavelli was elected Secretary of the Second Chancery, and later, Secretary of the Dieci di Libertà e Pace. These positions meant that he was in charge of internal affairs, and was involved in many diplomatic missions across Europe. He was also responsible for the Florentine military, as well as state defence. In 1512 the Medici returned to power and Machiavelli was arrested for conspiracy and tortured, but he denied involvement and was subsequently released. He then retired to his estate, and began writing the political essays and treatises on political development which made him famous, although arguably not until after his death, as well as his widely popular plays and correspondence with his political friends and acquaintances. His most famous work is The Prince, in which Machiavelli describes a totalitarian government that rules and acts immorally. The work has been critically analysed since Machiavelli's death, and has led to the term Machiavellian, meaning a corrupt or manipulative person who deceives others for personal gain.
Alright, it's time for our first Ninja Turtle friend. Hi, Michelangelo. I once ate a turtle once. Rawr. Okay, painting, 16th Chapel. Okay, Statue of David. Pita, these are famous works of art. Let's look at the 16th Chapel. I said 16th, Sistine Chapel. Look how pretty that is. Take a second to enjoy that. Check this one out. That's solid marble. Unbelievable. Here's another Ninja Turtle friend. Here's Leonardo da Vinci. A polymath means you're expert at many subjects, but today we would call that a Renaissance man. So if you hear the term Renaissance man, it usually means good at a couple of different things. Here's one of his famous paintings, The Last Supper. Here's another one that you might have seen, Mona Lisa. But besides just art, he was also an inventor. Here's the helicopter he invented. Here's a picture with a crossbow. Notice at the bottom, the little triangle with the guy underneath, it's a parachute. Here's a small video. here's a video about Leonardo's mitre lock. Okay, math leads to improvements for lots of different things. How about we can build better buildings now? That's awesome. Now here's our last big concept for the day. Boom, big deal. Oh, I'm gonna roar for this one. Roar. Okay, you need to know about the printing press. It's sometimes called the Gutenberg printing press. Before the printing press, I have a book. Then I give it to you. Then you read it. Then you give it to a friend. Then they read it. Then they give it to another friend. And they read it. And now it's been like a year, and I don't even remember what the book said. But now we can, with the printing press, we can all read the same book at the same time. When we do that, knowledge increases. This is how knowledge gets more proliferated. Proliferated? Brr. This is how knowledge increases. Okay? What book do you read at this time? Chances are you read the Bible. Okay? And that's it for today. We'll talk about the printing press more when Mr. Evans gets back next time. Have a great day.